There we go. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Muddy Water Search and Recovery. We had Alex, we had Dan, Dennis, and finally, we got Christy.
Hi, guys.
Good to have you back on the show, Chrissy.
I know it's been a very long time.
It has. So how's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing.
I hear you.
How are you guys?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm ready to go on vacation this week.
Me, I'm starting to dislike certain databases.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because they don't like updating them.
Are you putting too much data in or trying to take too much data out and you're causing a issue?
No, I'm talking about law enforcement databases.
That's what I mean. Are you over? Are you?
Oh, no, I just entered the name.
Oh, okay. I see. Hello, Natasha. How are you?
Hey, we got several on already. I'm showing 17. Barb is healing from her surgery.
Oh, well, hopefully that went well and you're healing up.
Catfish is here.
Say, Catfish messaged me earlier, asked if we were going to be doing a live feed or not. So he better show up tonight. He better be here.
Yeah, I think he messaged me at like 3:00 this morning. we were talking medical terms this morning. So
guys, as you can see from the title tonight, our topic when we get into the discussion is going to be gaining permission to search on private property. We're going to try to break down the mindset of the landowners, the family of the missing loved ones, and the search teams. We do want to make it clear right off the bat that this does not have any particular case tied to it. This is just an overall picture, an overall view of what takes place and why a property owner may or may not give permission to do the search. And Leanne, hey, how are you? I haven't seen Leanne in a while.
hello, Leanne.
Hi, Leanne.
Hello.
So when we do get into that discussion, just please keep in mind it's not tied to any specific case. Alex brought this up the other day that this is a subject we probably need to touch on because it could not only help us gain further understanding, but it's going to help you guys understand what goes on behind the scenes to get permission to search a property and everything that details. And I mean, it sounds like it would be simple to do, but there is a lot that goes into that.
This is very true. There's a lot of work into it. There's a lot of work in just doing the research to find out the correct landowner. Just because Catfish lives at his house doesn't mean that Mr. Walleye doesn't actually own the property.
Yep.
So that is something that, when you, I guess, like, well, we can throw an example. Let's throw out Randy Leach's case. there has been so many different properties that have been thrown out there to be searched that just because we have the name, that somebody gave us, that doesn't mean that they are the actual owner, they are the tenant. We had looked up some properties where commercial companies now own the properties versus a individual, that they are owned by a corporation. So that is something, and with Chris, who is in our group that helps out, that is some stuff that him and I have worked on, stuff that Dennis and I have worked on, on trying to track down who technically owns what pieces of properties. And another example would be the Crystal Kipper case. When we did our searches back in April, we had to, Chris did, he used the Platte County GIS website, and that's how we was able to obtain the property owners, and which led into us having to write letters and mail them, and explain the whole situation. And it's quite a bit of work. It really is.
That it is.
Yes, I think a lot of people think it's just as easy as what you would truly think is walking up and knocking on somebody's door, or driving by and seeing them out mowing the grass, and then stopping by and saying, "Oh, hey, my name's so-and-so, and I know this might catch you off guard, but there's a possibility that there might be some human remains on your property from either foul play or missing persons situation that happened to have went missing. Let's say their car got swept away in a flood. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different variables to it, and it's just not quite as easy as one might think."
Exactly. Like here, I'll give another example. Bruce Jacobs, one of the property owners, his wife passed, so I had to track down who the property went to next, as far as next of kin, and I was able to track down her husband, and that's how we were able to get a search done out there. And then another property, which is right across the street from that property, I found out who owned the property, and I went there, but I should have done more research into the person that was living or that owned that property, because I walked into a nice little surprise.
Was that when you walked in with all the naked people?
No, this person had a swastika on his neck.
Oh, okay. I thought that's like when you went to the nudist camp.
And that's the group that's tied to the case.
Okay, I need to know the naked story.
The whole chat's about to go crazy now. They caught me running around in a tutu.
Oh, well, that's normal. Come on now.
Dan's starting to reverberate.
Yep. I might have to change to my phone. It's echoing.
Yeah. But yeah, I would agree that, I mean, even the surprises of, like what Dan just mentioned, there is certain situations where stuff like that happens. And believe it or not, it is a difficult thing to present to somebody, and try to be compassionate about it and say, "Hey, listen, I know this is going to catch you off guard. But there's a possibility that this could have happened. It's not like you're just showing up to ask somebody if hey, you want to sell that old truck or car, or I see you got a bicycle for sale. It's definitely just from the few that I have done, you got to think about it. You got to think about what to say, and try to reassure them and be compassionate, and and not come across the wrong way, because it's a lot to take in for someone to tell you something.
All right, I'm jumping over.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we can have our thoughts on a property. The family of the missing person can have their thoughts. But if that property owner says no, that's it. There's nothing else we can do. We got to have their permission. So it's having everything just right to approach them so they fully understand what is going on. Wow, I am echoing back.
Now you're echoing. Now I'm echoing, and I got my earbuds on. So we would.
I'm good. I'm good on my end.
You're not hearing no
I'm
echoing?
good. Nope.
That's crazy.
All right, am I echoing?
Not on my end.
Yeah. Now Chrissy's echoing.
I can't. Am I still echoing real bad?
I'm not.
No.
I didn't hear
good?
the echo that time.
Okay.
Hey, Meg, can you tell who all is echoing here?
All right.
Am I still echoing?
On the phone, but okay.
Yeah, there I was.
Are you echoing?
I got some kind of reverb going on.
What did we do last time to fix this?
You all sound fine to me.
And Barb says she hears echo on me and on Alex.
Yeah, you go right there.
Oh, I got a bad echo there. I'm going to grab my headphones and see if that helps.
We'll have to narrow it down.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I'm on here.
I don't know. Last time doing it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a long delay from when I talk.
All right. I got to share the link out. Somebody just asked.
Hey, Meg. I thought maybe Megan was standing there.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me? Are we are we okay?
Fine.
Huh? There.
Are those pink?
At least they're not.
I don't think those are beets. I've never seen those on him before. Are those the kids'?
And It sounds okay to me now.
All right.
That's good.
Were those the kids' day?
No, they're mine.
They looked like the kids'.
I feel like one of the kids when I wear these.
I can't hear a word you said. Boy, this is just going great tonight.
Yeah, it's got a really long delay. I'm taking my.
How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Are we okay? Now he's gone. Is this magical?
Okay, you're not echoing.
I'm not echoing.
No. And I'm not. How about
You're
you,
not.
Christy?
Chrissy, talk. We can't even hear Chrissy now. Can't speak.
Jeez. Yeah, everything's fine. Sorry.
Now we can hear
Thank you, Alex.
All right, Dennis, your turn.
Sorry.
Now, am I still echoing?
No, not for me.
Yeah, I'm hearing it come back through on mine.
That's crazy.
Catfish says, I can hear you. All you have to do is let Alex talk, LOL.
Is there another whatever we can use besides StreamYard?
I don't right now that I can pull us up on, all of us up on.
Now it's not echoing.
Nope.
Yeah, everybody sounds fine to me.
Mine stop. No. Like 2 seconds later, it says it again. So should we shut this one down and try a new one?
I don't know. We might lose it.
Yeah, because I don't understand what's going on with my phone. It keeps glitching. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to be on. Yeah, I can't get it to. Yeah, I don't know what it's doing.
All right, Dennis, are you on the laptop?
Yeah, I'm on the laptop.
Do you want to? Didn't you laptop slot last time it did this?
I'm going to try to switch over to my phone and see if that is any better.
So who's all echoing?
You didn't echo that time.
Neither did you.
Now, Dennis, you talk.
Alex echoed.
Yeah, I keep glitching, guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay on here much longer because I don't know what's going on with my phone.
You look fine on our end.
Yeah, but on mine, all I see, like everybody's picture keeps glitching and I can't hear and I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get off here, guys, because my phone won't even hold a charge now.
All right. Well, it was good seeing you.
Where did Denny go?
He switched to his phone.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well,
Now he's back.
There's it still echoing now?
yeah,
It's got
my phone's
screen
glitching. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to hang around with my phone here, guys.
All right. Well, it was good seeing you.
And I've been trying to hold on. Give me one. Yeah, I can't get it. Denny, I'm gonna have to go.
Okay.
Bye.
Dang it. Sorry, guys. I stopped with my phone.
Hers was echoing bad that time.
Yeah.
Hey, the echo went away.
I bet mine will still echo.
No,
No echoes?
nope.
Well, then. I guess we're okay.
Yeah, Natasha says no echo now.
Anyone else hear any echoing from our audience?
Okay, and Barb and Jen said nope. Max says it was Chrissy. Red Hair says no echo. Tamara says no echo.
I
So
think
we might be good to go now. And now I forgot where we were.
we're at discussing the different problems for gaining.
Action and, letting like a homeowner or landowner, trying to reassure them, be compassionate, throwing information on them that they definitely were not expecting.
Right.
So,
Right, because that search all comes down on that person saying, yes, you can come on my property.
Yes.
very true.
Because you threw out a Randy Leach example a little bit ago. I'm going to bring up another one. There was a location, and this was on part of Stranger Creek, that had been brought up multiple times. And we needed 3 different property owners' permission to access that. In the state of Kansas, if it's a creek running through the property owner owns the rights to the water as well as the land. So you've got to have their permission. One property owner never responded back. One property owner said, absolutely, please do. All we ask is you let us know when you're going to be there so we know someone's on our property, but please come out and do the search. The third one responded, it was very hateful. No, you guys don't ever come on my property. You do not have permission. And that was the main one we needed. That covered the largest chunk of that creek that needed to be searched. So with them not giving permission, we weren't able to do the search there.
Yeah.
I did find out another team did come in after that and used a piece of equipment, and they went ahead and searched that area. I don't know if the landowner gave them permission or if they just went in and done it, but I do know it did get searched and cleared.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing how there's such a different mindset from people in regards to having their property searched.
Another case, for example, that Zeta Gordman. You got a corporation and then a business on the back side of it.
Yeah, we know how that went down.
Yeah.
It didn't go down. We were absolutely not getting permission to go on that property.
No.
Let me ask you this question to both of you. What is the law, or is there a law if you do a visual search with a drone flying over someone's property?
As long as it's not restricted airspace, there ain't no expectation of privacy.
Actually, there are some states, though, that do have laws on drones that you can't go over private property within a certain height. Now, if you could go extremely high and go over, you're probably good. But some states do have laws that you got to be a minimum height before you're allowed to go over. And I don't know if Kansas ever passed that law, but I know Kansas was trying to pass the law where you couldn't fly over private property as well.
Well, I know when we did the search, what was it, last year on 4th of July when I went to Wyandotte County Lake, and we had saw that image, what looked like a person caught up in a tree that was laying across the creek that comes off the spillway that goes over to the Missouri River. I know when I hired that professional drone guy to come out and do the drone footage, I had to give him the exact location because he said that the NASCAR track at the Legends area in Kansas City, Kansas, has a diameter around the racetrack that you're not allowed to fly drones. And he had to check the address because I can't remember. Do you remember, Dennis? Was it 5 miles out?
It was either 5 or 3, but it might have been 5.
But I know that we just barely made it outside of that circle, that diameter circle around the NASCAR track that you're not allowed to fly drones. So.
And Natasha says it's not like they can put no trespassings on the sky, right? Well, what's happened was when drones got so popular, I mean, you can go to Walmart, pay $30, $40 and get a drone that you could fly around your yard and do videos. And then come the problem of neighbors flying drones over swimming pools and different things like that when there's ladies swimming or sunbathing.
Yeah.
And when all of the complaints started coming in on that, they started cracking down on things. So basically, you have a handful of idiots out there who is ruining all of the good things a drone can be used for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that the technology and the advancement in drones is just unbelievably crazy now what they'll do. I know that the guy that came out to Wyandotte County Lake, I mean, we were on the spillway and he flew halfway to the Missouri River. He went all the way down to the water and he had like I want to say it was like a DJ Maverick something or another. But he went all the way down to the water and I think it was 4K. And the video quality was so good that it was so sunny that day that the sunlight was reflecting off the flowing water in the creek and was making reflections on the bottom of the creek bed, and his drone picked it up. And, that was impressive. So, the technology that, nowadays you don't have to fly 5 feet from something, that you can be 10, 20, 30, 50 feet up and zoom in. And it's just incredible.
See, that's weird. I just looked it up, and it says there's no federal laws restricting flying drones over private property.
No, it would be state laws.
But but if the drone crashes and falls to the ground, and if you do what you're supposed to do and register your drone, and they run it and it comes back to your name, now are you trespassing?
See, that's a good question. I wonder.
I mean, I wonder how that would play in, because we've had so many opportunities to look at things, and we have quite a few patrons of the channel that send us stuff all the time, asking for, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And it's just, I guess that kind of falls into the whole thing. Is it, could you be in trouble for trespassing if you parked out on the road and fly a drone over and take pictures? Because, you're technically in airspace. You don't own, the air. So that's one to think about, and how much you can get away with and what you can't get away with, when you're trying to, look at stuff.
Seeing Barb asked what happens if you didn't have the owner's okay and you find something, what happens? You could still call law enforcement out. You do run the risk of getting trespass charges, that sort of thing. And you also run the risk that if what you found, say you did find a vehicle that had human remains in it, by being on a property or going over a property without permission, technically there could be a note in there from somebody saying, hey, I'm guilty, I done this. But when it goes to court, defense will have that thrown out, because depending on the state and their drone laws, that could be found under illegal means. And if that's the case, then nothing that was found there would hold up in court. It would all get thrown out. So doing that without the property owner's permission, yes, you can get in trouble, but you're also jeopardizing any justice that could come from that evidence. And then you run the risk of additional charges of tampering with evidence, interfering with an investigation, that sort of stuff. I mean, there's a whole list that they can come at you on. Not saying that they would, but that is a possibility.
Right. I mean, kind of like all these different remains being found by mushroom hunters that are just going onto land for nothing. Well, none of us will ever know if they got charged for anything, but that's just taking too much of a risk.
And seeing that, then with mushroom hunting, if they can prove that's what they're out there doing, that's going to be a slightly different scenario than if it was like me or Alex or Dan. If they looked into us, a simple Google search, they're going to see us on here working on cases. And we could legitimately be looking for mushrooms, but they're not going to see it that way.
Nope.
That's very true.
And it's not like we can hide what we do.
Right.
That is true too.
And Jennifer has a good point here. If it's a larger property or recently been sold or for sale, YouTube the address. More property owners are getting drone footage for the listing.
That is very true also.
I heard about that. That's a new little thing that they got going on. What was it? Real estate agencies are doing it now.
They've been doing it up here for quite a few years now. There's people that go around and take pictures of houses for listing, for the agents. And now there's drone companies that are doing drone videos, you know, to do aerial photography and, you know, video footage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
So, guys, kind of breaking down the mindsets in all of these. Everybody that watches knows I always got my notes and talking points and stuff for these live feeds. This time, and I always send this out to the team as well, but this time I was very, very vague on this because I want Alex and Dan to share their actual thoughts on this and not be like, not go off of anything I say or anything Alex says or Dan says. You know, I want this to be straight from them when we jump into this. The mindset of the property owners. Like Alex, you kind of touched on this a little bit ago. Most people out there are not involved in any way in the search and recovery community. I wish everybody was, but realistically, they're not. So when you have the stranger knock on your door, and I'm Dennis, Muddy Water Search and Recovery, I've got reason to believe this person could be found on your property. Could we search this property? What is the first thing you're going to think in that kind of situation?
For me, I would be concerned because who owned the property before me, or what actually occurred to cause that person to be on my property without me knowing.
yeah. I mean, I agree. I think that, you know, as the homeowner themselves, if someone comes to their door, I mean, first off, 100% would catch them off guard. Nobody is thinking that somebody's going to show up and be like, "Oh, hey," you know, like Dennis just said, and like I said, that, you know, hey, we're here to let you know that there's possibly this scenario that could have played out. And then it becomes the whole thing. Well, did it happen when I owned the thing? Did it happen if this? Um, I mean, there's so many, you know, variables that play out that, I mean, it would truly catch anybody off guard. And then I would suspect that, you know, I can give you an example. When the Crystal Kipper case, you know, we had 3 landowners we had to talk to. I spoke with 2 out of the 3 landowners, and one of the landowners spoke with the 3rd landowner. They were all right, you know, property to property line owners. The first lady, extremely nice. You know, she had relayed to me that, you know, she told me, she says, every time, you know, when we go to cut corn, you know, every year and harvest our crops, I mean, she straight up told me, we always feel that we are going to find somebody dead, you know, in this area, because the people that did go fishing in that area and the partying that used to happen in those areas back in the day, you know. But she was very nice, very sweet lady. She was 100%. She's like, please do whatever you have to do. And she, if I remember correctly, I think it was her niece. It was either her niece's daughter or her niece. I can't remember the exact relationship, but was actually New Crystal Kipper. I mean, they had a connection somehow. The second lady, when I spoke with her, it did catch her off guard. Even when she spoke to me, when I spoke with her on the phone after she had received the letter that I wrote them, she definitely was still, you know, kind of touchy about the subject and wanted to know everything. And then she proceeded to tell me that she had a daughter that was a year or 2 in the same age as Crystal. So then there was some compassion to the parents of, oh my gosh, I would want to know what happened to my daughter. And so, she agreed, and then they spoke with the third landowner, and everything was fine. And when we did our search, I let them know a few days in advance that we would be there and we'd be wearing, yellow safety vests. And I told her the vehicles that would possibly be parked on their property. I tried to give them as much information that made them feel comfortable and also believe that we were trying to be as professional about it and not just a bunch of jack wagons out looking around on some property looking for, some old junk.
Right.
So, yeah, I think, and on the same token, I think there has to be compassion. The compassion for the situation kind of has to go both ways, I think. Basically saying, we're trying to help this family out. This situation possibly could have played out in your piece of land, possibly could have played a part in it. While you owned it or a previous owner. And you have to be compassionate for them because you're throwing this all on their dinner plate.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have some compassion in their heart to be like, oh my gosh, yes, whatever we can do to help this family out, to help find their missing loved one. I would hope that it would go both ways from everybody. And so far, every I can say for the most part, everything that I've personally been a part of has seemed to have worked out that way in the past when I have reached out to people and tried to talk to them, except for up in Atchison at the Boy Scout camp. That was a no go. that guy was not happy, and he was going to have no part of us walking around, looking. And I tried to explain to him that, when they did that, what year was that? I can't remember now off the top of my head. Was it 92 or 96 when
Oh, Zeta?
Yeah.
92, October 5th.
And then when her husband killed himself, it was 96 or 94.
I thought it was like 6 months or on one of their anniversaries or some sort.
Yes. But it's like I explained to the person, and the person I was speaking to was not the landowner. He was the maintenance custodial person of the Boy Scout camp. And I said, the technology is so much different. And I said, there's got to be a reason he went back to that area because he had access to that property. And I said, hopefully if you allow us to do this, we can bring GPR, and if we can get the location where, Mr. Gordon had hung himself, at the park, if we can gain access to that, we could look and see if we can find where she was buried. And he was like, they did that back then and you're not going to do it. And, you'll never have access to this. And he was just downright rude, and I tried to be as nice as I could. And not saying I tried to persuade him. I tried to give him some factual thoughts of this is why, because evidently it's still on their minds because he was that, what's the word I'm looking for? He had enough of an attitude that he was fighting me at anything I said about it.
His thought was basically set in stone.
Yeah, 100%. I saw Jen had made a comment. What did Jen say? I saw it flash and then it was gone before I could even read it. So when I did Crystal Kipper stuff, I actually printed off her flyers and I mailed them with the letters that I sent to these the landowners that owned all the farmlands. So when I wrote the letter and then I stapled multiple different flyers, like second and third in the letter, and explained. That way I was trying to prove to them that, it was a real situation. I was trying to provide some factual, printable evidence to show them why we were asking to gain access.
I can give you another example. Back to that property owner where a tip came in for Bruce Jacobs. The husband, he was real polite. He knew nothing about it, but he had no problem with us doing anything. He just wanted to talk to the tenant he had currently living there. So I informed Logan Police Department about it, or Luther Police Department about it, that he was going to talk to the tenant that was living there, and we could go from there. And then Luther showed up at the tenant's house and asked if they had any problems with the search being done, and they had no problems whatsoever. But like here, another one here in Stillwater, I went to speak with a property owner about Darian Hudson that went missing out of Stillwater, and he was confused at first because it was the property was sold to a church. So the pastor was really, really confused as to why I wanted to take a walk around the property and see if there's any sign of where she could have went there. And after explaining the situation more, I showed him a picture of the flyer. It says the exact location where she went missing from, which is right there on that corner, but it was prior to the church being there. He had no problem me walking around the property. I couldn't go inside, which I didn't need to because the church was not there at the time. So I did the wooded area around the property, and like the ditches, culverts. There's a bridge there with a little creek that ran underneath it. He allowed me to do all that. The only thing he wouldn't do is go inside, but I didn't need to go inside.
I wonder, is there any statistical evidence? And I know this is probably a long shot, and probably I wouldn't know where to look, but I wonder if there is any evidence statistic wise where anybody has done any data calculations and record keeping of where people have been found, and is there relation that the crime took place where the body was found? Was the crime at another location and the body was taken to a certain place, another county, across state lines? I wonder, have either one of you ever seen any type of evidence that leads to
Body dumps?
Body dumps?
That I think that's what we would have to look up to see if there's a statistic on it. They call it a body dump, where people.
I wonder if Jen has ever looked up anything like that and all the stuff that she does with maps and stuff, just out of curiosity, because I'm just curious. Is it 5 out of 10 bodies when they are found on a piece of property, did their life end on that property, or were they transported to that property? I'm just curious.
That would be very interesting to know.
Yes, it would.
And that would help narrow down a lot of search locations in these cases as well, or in some of these cases.
Thank you, Natasha, for that comment.
Not to mention, it could point more towards one person doing multiple crimes, and it turns out that location was a dumping ground.
Yeah. We have talked before that I had spoke with Jeff, and Jeff, who's in our group, Jeff had talked with some people, and they had said that, stuff from they had heard on the street that Wyandotte County Lake, the spillway was a dumping ground in Kansas City, Kansas.
I heard that too.
Yeah, and the spillway flows into the Missouri River. So, and when we had that hit on that picture, I mean, when you've seen some Google images, and I don't know if Dennis has that picture saved up, that he could ever bring it up and show us. But I'm telling you what, it looked like a person with a shirt and with blue jeans or sweatpants on. And like they were, I think the way it looked is like they were laying on their back in the water and they had flowed down the creek and got caught up in this tree. And, the way it actually looked like socks or like white shoes. But, the question is are people being murdered at Wyandotte County? And this is not saying it's happened. This is just saying from stuff we've heard, rumors, accusations, all those type of words that you'd want to use to describe a crime. But, are these people being murdered inside the park around the lake, or are they being brought there in the middle of the night and being carried down and thrown in the spillway to wash down through the creek into the river?
That's got a wicked spillway on that location too.
Ooh, I hate looking at that thing.
Oh man.
I've always looked on YouTube to see if anybody's ever put a GoPro on a fishing pole and let it go down in it. But yeah, it's a very intimidating thing, especially it doesn't matter if there's any water going down it or not, but it's creepy. I don't even like looking at it. I don't even like looking at it from Google Earth. And I grew up right there my whole life. I mean, I grew up going to the lake. We had a boat at the lake, at the marina, when I was a child. My mom and dad did.
Okay.
My dad would go there near that thing, and I'm like, nah, let's go. Get away from the spillway.
Jen just sent us something. Location of body in relation to offender. Pre-planned body disposal is 50%. Did not pre-plan body disposal is about 22-23%.
So I guess, and this is another question that we have discussed, is just because you are related to somebody that's missing and you will not let your property be searched, what is everybody's opinion? Does that automatically make you guilty because you won't allow people to search your property? Or are you proving what is the logic? Why would somebody, of course, if they had something to do with it, but let's look at it as why would a wife or a husband or a mother and father, why would any of those people not let their property be searched when they have said over and over a billion times that they had nothing to do with this person that went missing? So does that automatically, in everybody's eye, make these people look guilty? Or do you have compassion and thinking other reasoning why they would not allow it? I'm curious what your guys' thoughts would be.
Who, ours or the guest?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Ours or the viewers?
Both. I'd like to hear both. I know we've talked about it, and of course we talk about everything 100 times. So, but yeah, talking about it publicly, and yeah, like Jen just made a comment. It makes it suspicious because if you're related to the person and supposed to love and care for that person, and I agree, I would think that if you would want your name and your property to be cleared 100%. That way you could have the police and other people focus on
Other locations.
searching where, put your efforts somewhere else. Don't, yeah, come here, do what you need to do, then let's move forward somewhere else, because, my missing child is not here on my property. My missing mother or father is not here on my property. But yeah, if you need to come here and we need to prove that they're not here so you can focus 100% everywhere else, then yeah, let's do it. But why do some people not do it? No matter what, why do they fight so hard? And they don't use that excuse. I would think that people would do that no matter what.
The only thing that can pop up in my head is they're afraid of their reputation. Say, for example, something is found there, and then all of a sudden you got the crime scene unit come in, you got police all over the place. People are going to think something of you, even though you ain't part of it. They're going to think something happened.
So you're basically saying a scenario like a sibling might have killed another sibling, or a parent did, and then the other family members never knew nothing about it.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, that's totally could happen. I mean, 100%. So
I gotta agree with that. I think the fear of being implemented in something that could be found there plays a big role in it. And Jennifer just put a comment here. That's where I was gonna go. It could be pride. How could somebody accuse me of this? And I do think sometimes especially, if this is your kid that's missing, or your mom or your dad, somebody you're close to, you're going to be very, very one track minded of finding them. And you're questioning, why are you wanting to search my property? He's not here. I know he's not here. Let's go to where he is. I think many times it's completely innocent, but it could save a lot of time and speculation if they would allow that property to be searched.
Definitely.
A lot of times, especially if it's close family like that and one goes missing, a lot of times the family is the first people law enforcement look at so they can rule them out and move on.
yeah.
And as Barb just said, they could be scared.
And I guess another one to think of is how many times, and this would be like another statistical question to look at and try to learn from, is how many times has there been a situation where something happened at home, with either siblings or parents, and there's possible, what's the right word I'm trying to say? We're leading people down different paths so we don't get caught, and they did know. Is that, I wonder what statistical stuff that's happened, if there's any data on that shows that, sorry, I had a fly just land on my arm. That if that does happen, and that type of data has been recorded so people can use it for statistical data, looking at stuff, because that would help, in the whole genre of missing people. That's something to definitely look at.
Kind of like loved ones that were involved in the disappearance helping with the searches.
Right.
That was a little freaky when I found out about them cases.
Yeah. And we've had so many cases where we've had information like this come in, from people that have said stuff, and it's hard because you have to look at it and try to think, okay, well, let's look at it from this point of view. Okay. So we sat and we brainstormed for 2 or 3 hours running scenarios through our heads, you know, and then you're like, well, no, that does kind of make sense. You know, we could see this. So
Jen, wouldn't that be close to 100%? Because isn't the goal not to get caught, but the further away from the offender people are looking, the better for them at least. I do think that plays a hand in some of that. Me personally, if somebody denies access to a property, I don't take that as an automatic sign of guilt or hiding something. I know it's easy to think that, and it crosses everybody's mind, but there's so many reasons they're going to deny access to that property. But when you have them, it's the ones that come across kind of hateful or kind of mean about it. These are the ones that concern me. And then the ones that are overly nice to you. I did have one that denied access, and this one was not a missing persons case. It was one of the unsolved murder cases. And I was trying to get permission to access a property because we were searching or wanted to search a creek for a firearm that got thrown away. And this person was just, it was almost like they were way too nice, that it was just completely fake. That worries me. So I think it all comes down to the attitude and the demeanor of the person. And usually, if you're in person, you're going to read that better. That one in Randy Leach's that was so hateful, that was in a letter. And even in a letter, it come across so hateful.
yeah.
But I think a lot of this is in the demeanor of the individual person you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in other words too, when you personally, you know, Dennis or Dan, or I mean, is it come down? Do you ever? Is it are you thinking, or is it your gut? What out of you two? What are you coming down to when you're in a situation? You know, when you're looking at a case and you're thinking about gaining access, that, you know, should we reach out to these people? Should we not? You know, what do you, I mean, because like I can say for me, I'm like a 50-50 sometimes. I think of it as, you know, thinking it out, you know, and then I'm like, I go with my gut feeling. I'm like, man, this doesn't make sense. I mean, I mean, come on, you know. So I mean, like, how do you two feel about it? And you know, like our audience.
Me personally, if all the evidence points to it and there's no other location and my gut says that's a one spot, I'm going to go with my gut. But if there's multiple locations that come about in one case, I'm going to have to use my mind and keep scrolling through the different types of information I can find, which will better pinpoint which property needs to be looked at first.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Alex, on the 50-50. Crystal Kipper, again, prime example. The property that of interest that we've done a search on, we're going back. That one stuck out to me immediately. And then as evidence started coming into us, my gut screamed from the beginning, that's where she was. When we were on the property, it's weird to say it this way, but you could almost feel her there. I'm 100% convinced we're going to find her there. And that was all gut. Randy Leach. This case, I can say I've got a gut feeling on it, But this one, and it's likely because there is so much out there on this one that goes everywhere, that one has been more thinking. This one has been thought through and continues to be. So a lot of that also comes down to what information you are getting on a case. But I would say I'm about 50-50 on that.
Yeah. I know with Randy's case, we have brainstormed. We have talked about information that's come in. You know, we have used Google Earth. We have used vintage aerial. We have used historical imaging. We put people's stories together, you know, and it is so crazy when you try to look at things that deal with a property. And, you know, because I guess, I know we can all say that, you know, the hardest part of anything is making the decision whether to move forward with reaching out to the property owners, you know, because, you know, like we've said, you have to present evidence to them. You just can't call and yeah, by the way, there's a possibility. Can we come over?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't work out like that.
They'd be like, "You're crazy."
I literally remember sitting down at the computer for probably 2 hours and writing notes on a piece of paper, just trying to write the first paragraph to send to the landowners' names in Crystal Kipper's case. Because when I spoke with the Boy Scout situation for Zeta Gordon, you know, I called the Boy Scouts and then they gave me the number to the camp. And then I called and we did all that. And then, you know, I didn't write notes, letters. I just started making phone calls, and I would set out in the garage and I'd be working on a piece of equipment or on a 4-wheeler or truck and, you know, feeding the cows. And I'd be brainstorming in my head, well, how am I going to do this? Well, how am I going to say that? You know, how am I going to present myself? So I guess when it really comes down to it, writing a letter, I believe, is the easiest way to do this. Because when I had spoke with the Boy Scout people, so I'd originally spoke to another person with the Boy Scouts. And I had talked with him on the phone, and, you know, with Zeta Gordon's case, and at first he was like, oh yeah, I'll give you the number to talk to about getting permission. And by the end of the conversation, it was, well, let me talk to this person first. I don't want to give out their number, you know, and well, what kind of evidence do you have? So luckily I had thought about this about 2 hours before I'd made the phone call, and I had screenshotted, you know, the newspaper articles, her flyer. I had all this stuff already saved in my phone. And I said, you know what? I have stuff for you and I will text it to you. And I did. And then he ghosted me. He straight up ghosted me. He wouldn't answer my text messages. He wouldn't answer my phone calls. So that's when I went back to the Boy Scout people, Boy Scouts of America. And I told them I needed the property. I needed the direct contact to, you know, this camp. And that's when I got this other number and how it all, you know, had worked out. But I talked to 2 or 3 people with that situation. But I think, in my opinion, I think it's easier to write a letter, print off flyers, mail it to them, you know, put links to websites, our YouTube channel. That way they have, you know, a lot of information to go over, and then they can make a decision whether or not to move forward with granting, you know, us permission.
Right, because facts of the case is the key thing that is gonna get permission. If you can't prove that you know for a fact that person's there, or at least pretty close to it, a lot of times they just don't want to be a part of it.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just basically saying, it's people don't want their reputation, their property tarnished, even though they're not a part of it. But you know how society is nowadays.
Oh
When
yeah.
you see something, they're automatically going to assume that. And for example, there is a property that is coming up on a concern, which that's the hardest property I've ever had to try to get permission from.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, he wants the family to have justice. So I think in due time, when he gets his ducks in a row, gets everything he needs done between law enforcement, lawyers, and whatnot, I think he's going to allow it to go through just so the family has the closure that they need.
See,
Because I mean,
I'm glad you just said lawyers because this is something that as a team we've been discussing recently and it come up with that particular search. But we are 100% for property owners contacting their attorneys, learning what their rights are as the property owner, making sure they understand everything 100% before even giving us an answer.
exactly.
Is they have rights that they need to understand. Granted, yeah, we don't like it when they deny access to that property, but legally they do have the right to do that. You know, they did buy that property, they own that. But, you know, in this one, I also believe everything will line up and the search will take place. But we are all for property owners contacting their attorneys, learning what their rights are, because many don't even know they've got those types of rights.
Exactly.
And I think that's why many of them kind of panic and say no and come across that way. But they definitely have rights they need to be aware of.
Bye, Jen.
Do you
And
think that let's revisit Zeta Gordon's case, because Zeta Gordon's case is just one of so many that GPR is a must. You know, do you think that once we have the GPR unit, do you think if we went back to the Atchison County Police Department, do you think if we went back and tried talking to them and saying, hey, we have the technology that you all have never had, do you think that is a game changer in the future for those situations where the homeowner will not allow us, but there's probable speculation, rumors, accusations that someone could be on a certain property? Do you think if somebody showed up with like a GPR unit, do you think that would be enough for the police to do whatever they have to do legally to gain access to the property to do another search?
if there's enough probable cause to get a warrant, I do believe that would be the game changer, having that piece of equipment there to do that actual search. They've, I mean, in the past, granted, it's been many years ago, they did go on the property, but they didn't have the technology of today.
Right.
And law enforcement as a whole, I believe, fully understand that. So, with the information we would present to them, plus the information that they have that obviously ain't public due to it being an open case still, I think there would be enough that they would push to get a warrant and bring us in with that piece of equipment to get that searched.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be a game changer in multiple cases. I mean, Crystal's case, Zeta's case, Mark's case, Randy's case. I mean,
Oh,
there's a lot of cases
there's so many of them.
that it would be beneficial.
Yeah.
And I want to jump back real quick. Barb brought up an interesting question. What if you get the okay from, say, like the wife, but then you go back to do the search and the husband is there and he says no, then what? Basically, what that's going to come down to is if the husband is on the deed or on the lease agreement, if his name is on there as the owner or partial owner in any capacity and he says no, that ends the search. You're trespassing if you continue, even with one saying yes. He has as much right as she does to say no, and legally you would have to vacate the property.
Yeah, they would have to discuss it amongst themselves to come across an agreement on their own, because even if they did allow the search to start up and say we had to bring out dogs and the owner comes home, the husband or the wife, whichever one said yes, and then the one that comes home is the one that said no and catches you on their property, what are they going to think? Who are you? And not only that, what if the one that said yes wasn't home and they found out you were on the property?
Yeah. I mean, there's always so many variables to how things could play out and how.
Now, out of curiosity, is I know with marriages, until you're divorced, it's both y'all's property.
That's kind of a
gray area.
Right.
It's a gray area in Missouri because I own the house that Tammy and I live in.
Hey,
I
look.
have two houses. I have one in Kansas and one in Missouri. Tammy's not on either one of them. One of them I had before I met Tammy. The one in Missouri, I bought when we were together, but we weren't married. So we have a city sewer project going on, and when they had to do paperwork because my road is a state highway in front of my house, and we had to do a right-of-way thing so they could dig up when they eventually try to get to do the sewers. And for some reason, they wanted Tammy's signature as part owner, but she wasn't on the mortgage. She's not on the deed. She wasn't on any of it. But it's a Missouri law. So, last week I had talked to a pool company about a pool, and they had basically they were doing some type of special for a pool, and it was a Missouri off the wall thing. And the lady I was talking to, she wanted to run my credit. And I said, why? And she's like, well, I need to know that you're truly the owner of the property. And I said, well, I am. And she says, well, I need to check this, and I have to check with your mortgage company. And I said, well, my house is paid off. I said, I don't have a mortgage on it no more, the house. And I said, so I don't understand why I have to do all this, because I simply just want to buy a pool, And they had to have some, and I looked them up. It's a legit company. It wasn't a scam, but they had to have some type of fallback that if they put the pool in the wrong place, or let's say one of the kids was here and said, oh yeah, go ahead, build the pool, blah, blah, blah. He'll pay for it. And then somebody drowns. It becomes all this legal recourse and all this weird, goofy stuff. And I was like, I was like, okay, I get this, but I don't understand why you need to run my credit and do this. And you want all this documentation, for all this. I said, I can, prove this or that I'm the legal owner of the house, but I don't understand why you need all this other documentation and all this stuff. And, I guess it's a way for some people to be safe legally for liability reasons, and then maybe some of it's a scam. I don't know. I wasn't getting it. I just didn't understand why I needed to prove all this.
Everybody's afraid of getting sued nowadays.
Then that's probably true, because I can go to the Oasis Pool Company or one of the pool companies around here, and I buy a pool, and I can bring it back and they'll come and put it up, but they've never wanted all this information when I've talked to them.
And this is an above ground pool?
Yes.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, some of their, I guess it's just, for legality reasons why some people do certain things and some don't. I guess sometimes maybe it's just overkill, in my opinion. Maybe not. So.
Yeah, that was a touch overkill right there, but wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because I said I just need the price of the pool and what the upgrades cost. And well, the first thing we need is your social security number so we can run your credit to make sure you are the legal owner. I'm like, why? No, I don't have to do that. I can print off the deed. I can show that it's mine, and
Right.
and I'm like, no, I don't need to prove this to you.
That's just crazy.
I said the local people don't, and this was it wasn't a local per se local company. It was a nationwide company that, tried to sucker you into getting a pool. And I was getting suckered in until they wanted my social security number. So I was like, nope, not giving it to you. Don't need to.
So, Alex, let's turn this around the other direction. Let's say the property owner tells you, yes, absolutely, you could access this property. You could search for this person on my property. What is the first thing that comes to mind to you at that point? What's your first thought?
I guess it would all depend on the situation of the case. I could see that. Well, let's say that supposedly somebody was on my property, and I'm trying to think how to say this to make it make sense. I guess I would think that, they would just want the rumors to be put to rest once and for all. I'm always tired of my name and my property being thrown up in this situation because, Ronald McDonald supposedly is buried on my property. So yes, please don't hesitate. When can you start? Can you start today? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of my name being thrown in it. I'm tired of this. Yes, please do it. Let's get it over with. Let's find some answers, one way or another. So I would kind of think it would be a 50-50. It would be 50% that these people are tired of the rumors and the accusations and they want answers, or they simply are having compassion for the victims, families, and they want justice. They want closure for these people. Maybe they've had something in their life that personally had happened in their past. So they have compassion, for that situation where they want answers for somebody else. And I mean, it's hard to say that you would think that most people would want compassion and closure, because someday they might be in their shoes too, and then they will live it. And if they didn't allow it, then they would think, oh, geez, what if I would have done that for those people when they came to me?
Right.
I guess it doesn't even have to be that. It could be you saw a car wreck and somebody got killed, and you left the scene, but you just saw it happen. I mean, you didn't cause it or anything, but you could drive off, and later that day you could have thought, man, I saw that guy run that red light and hit that car, and nobody else was there but me. Why didn't I stay? But I was in a hurry because I had to get to the grocery store or something else, So, it's always hard to say what's the right thing to do, and I guess really until you live it and it's hard to speak for somebody else if you haven't been in that situation.
Right.
But I would think that, if that was the case, yeah, somebody would be like, yes, please get my situation checked, because I don't want to hear about it no more. I don't want to be thrown in controversy all the time when this person who's missing gets brought up and they're like, oh, Dennis's property, we heard back there in the creek that there was a well, and that's where they used to get rid of people, trouble causers back in the day, so I mean, I would hope that most people, depending on the situation, because all situations are different, but I would think that you would most likely want to have your name and your property cleared, and you would be like, yes, please do it.
See, you brought that up. Every situation is different. The three of us here, we have been in contact with numerous property owners on numerous cases. We've spoken with numerous family members of the missing people. I don't think we have a single case that has been identical in any way.
Mm-mm. Well, as far as talking to people, no. But as far as case information, yes.
Right.
With the Crystal Kipper and all the other ones went missing around that same time period. But as far as property owners, no.
Right. Yeah, talking with any of them, every one of those has been different.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And I got to agree with Alex. It's like a 50-50 thing. They're either going to want to be compassionate for the person, or they're just going to want to clear their name, clear their property, so they ain't got to deal with it no more and be done with it. And that's the truth. I mean, a lot of times you wish they would all just say yes regardless, but we can't really force nobody to do nothing like that.
Yeah.
We show them compassion ourselves and be understanding for their situation that they just got put into without.
See, I like to think that I would tell a team, yes, if I knew nothing about search and recovery or missing persons cases and somebody come to my house, I would like to think I would tell them, yes, do the search. But in that situation, I don't know that I would. I would want to know more information. Number one, who are you?
Yeah.
You say you're this. I need documentation, proof this is who you are. The person that's missing, I need proof that they're missing, something that shows me they may be here.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had a situation where somebody wanted to verify who I was. Remember, Dennis?
Right.
So, I mean, and that's understandable. I would want and I told her that. I was like, I would not expect you to do anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
To do is verify who I am. Please do. Here's the business card. Here's the email. You're more than welcome to.
And that person contacted me and said, hey, I had this person talk to me and I need to verify that they are for sure with Muddy Waters. And I'm like, well, did he give a name? I said, it's most likely would be Dan in this situation. She's like, yep, it was Dan. I said, yeah, Dan's part of Muddy Waters. She's like, okay, I just had to be sure. And,
Yeah.
it kind of felt good that somebody done that because it shows how active they are in that particular case and they're being safe about it. Many times family members get so overwhelmed with trying to find their missing loved ones, things like safety go out the window. So to see somebody who's taking the steps, trying to do that the right way, that was cool to see.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
She thought she upset me. I was like, by no means, not at all.
Yeah. Well, like what Natasha is saying, I believe thinking ahead and trying to be prepared would be the best situation if you had to show up to a property to discuss. I would hope that, if we show up to a property, we have on our shirts, we would have business cards, we would have all the information on the missing person. We would have everything to present versus, somebody that just shows up out of the blue and is like, hey, can we look around? Can I get my shovel out and take a couple scoops over here and get my little boop, 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 boop machine? And, I think coming across as being as professional as possible, being dressed like you're there professionally, having more than enough information that they don't want to read all the way through it, that by the second page they've got the point, why you're there. I would think that would be a must for any situation where you're going to just show up and not send letters, to do it that way.
And speaking of those letters, there's people that watch our videos and live feeds, they follow the channel and everything, that they themselves search for missing loved ones as well. When you done those letters on Crystal Kipper's case, Alex sent them over to me before he sent them out. And I was blown away. I was ready to get permission for you to search the properties reading those letters. But maybe someday we can kind of blot out some of the details that's case related and kind of bring it up to show everybody an example of that letter, because that letter was incredible.
Yeah. And the way I kind of wrote it, it wasn't like a generic letter, because I put a lot of compassion, because once again, trying to show compassion for the family, but also show compassion for the landowners. But I made it to where with Crystal's case, all I had to do was change who I addressed it to and their addresses, and that's how I had wrote it. That way, I explained the situation in the letter, that, your property is one of 3 that we would like to be able to be granted permission, if you could so find it in your heart, to help us out, because we are trying to help a family of someone who is missing. But yeah, we should do that someday. We should we can print that off, and we can just run the Sharpie over the landowners' names and the addresses, and just show an example of it, and use that as an example to do that and see what. Oh, I just saw a little person just popped in my room. I see somebody.
And real quick, Barb commented she wished she could do more than she does to help in the missing persons cases. Barb, I can tell you, you do fantastic. I'm going to kind of shout you out here for a minute, but Barb always sends us over not only new cases to look at, but information on cases. And a lot of times it's information that we didn't know about. So Barb, you have been incredibly helpful, and we really, really appreciate you.
Yeah, I gotta agree. My Facebook is always full of different cases, whether it be Kansas, whether it be Oklahoma, or even close by. She's also in a lot of. She's an administrator in a lot of missing person. So
she does a lot of work, and she sells herself short, I believe, because all the work she does is incredible.
Yes, I have to agree. She does tend to think that she doesn't do a lot, but I explain to her every day, you do a whole lot. You put faces out in the public like no other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how many of these cases are solved, getting their pictures out publicly, getting eyes on those. And that actually helps solve so many cases.
Oh, look, I see a little one. Hi, little one.
Hi.
You're the one that goes out to the boardwalk, ain't you? Yeah, I remember you. You go Bigfoot hunting with them?
Thank you.
She goes hunting. Is that what you said?
Bigfoot hunting.
Oh yeah, she's the Bigfoot hunter. Say, yep, I look for Bigfoot. I holler for him.
Now, I do have another theory as to, it just popped up in my head out of nowhere. Don't ask why. They tend to do that. Hang on, sweetie. Another reason why property owners are hesitant on searches. Liability, somebody might get hurt.
That is a big one as well, I think. And
do you want to see another little one on there?
Oh. Hey, wave to her. Say, everybody what?
My Brett. She likes to sneak on my TikTok lives, but apparently on TikTok you can't have kids on live streams.
Oh, wow.
See, now, Red Hair just asked a question that goes along with what you said, Dan. Do you have to sign waivers before going on property? For example, if you broke an ankle, it's not required, but that is something I would be more than happy to do if that's what it took to get access to the property.
Yep. Exactly.
Had a broken collarbone. I know you had a broken collarbone.
And Natasha says those Amber Alerts are getting canceled because of the information getting out to the world by social media, I feel like.
Yes, because not to knock any news organizations. I'm not calling them out. I'm not calling anybody out in that realm. But the lack of publicity that missing people get right now, other than the ones that I won't even mention that one, but they don't get the publicity they deserve.
Right.
I mean, there's if you go by NamUs alone, there's around 30 something thousand, I think it was 20 something thousand missing people, and that's not even accurate because if you go by state, the numbers definitely don't match, and you can hardly see any of them.
Scribble.
All it would take is a 10-minute segment for them to do a reel of multiple missing person flyers. It doesn't take much.
Take it out, like.
See, Natasha, that's a good point there. And that's something I've been working on for another case, and it's something I want to keep on hand. Is I do have a waiver that I'm working on typing up specifically for that.
Are you saying there's not room in my chair?
Nope, don't knock that off.
You're gonna have a rather large guy. You can't fit two people in my chair. But who? Mine's 11 that thinks she's 40.
This one's almost 5. 4 months or 4 years and
Mom. What?
half a month away.
She looks like she likes being glued to your hip.
I actually haven't seen her but once this week. You've been gone all week.
Papa?
Yeah.
What is that right there?
That's the logo of our group.
Now, other than the liability and the other things we talked about,
Spit it out.
the only other thing that I could really ponder up why somebody doesn't want their property searched is publicity actually showing up at their doorstep. Say their word gets out, hey, we want to search this property, and it gets leaked out that there's going to be a search on a property that could possibly have human remains on it. You and I, all of us know how fast news is going to hit that.
Right.
And if say for example they want to sell their property later on down the road, or pass it off to a family member, it's just going to cause a headache for them. But in the long run, it would be beneficial for them, because if their property is in fact cleared, or if something was found there and is now removed, the property is perfect.
Right. It's taken care of. Another situation I've had with a property owner before, and this one was in the Randy Leach case, is they told me, said, look, we're going to have to deny because we just don't want involved in the case, period, at all.
So let me piggyback off that comment. what if that person decides to sell their property? Do you think, do they or do they not have to disclose this possible accusation or rumor of something that could have taken place there, or there could be remains there? Do you think that does it have to, or does it not have to be disclosed? Because,
Legally or morally?
well, but now see, this is a different situation. Now, if your house has had a fire, you have to disclose it.
Yes. Any structural damage to your property, you have to disclose. I have not yet looked up to see if they have to disclose it.
Now, my Missouri house, the copper water line that feeds the refrigerator from downstairs had gone bad, and I had to put a new one in, and it required me pulling the sheetrock down in one area of the basement. Well, when I pulled the sheetrock down, I had severe fire damage. I was not told, Tammy was not told of any fire damage, and I actually know one of the owners who owned this house. I knew this guy's mother and father who owned this house, and his grandma and grandpa owned it too. And he told me that yes, back in the 30s, they had an oil burner in the basement, I think for heat, and it did catch fire. So, like Tammy told me from her real estate experience, yes, it should have been disclosed, and I could have done something, legally if I wanted to. But this is different. This is a crime. That's not technically a crime, I guess, depending. But so that's what I'm curious. Is it something you would have to declare? If you said no and you didn't want to have your property searched, but your property has been named multiple times, morally or legally, what's your guys' thoughts?
Morally, I would say yes. Legally, me personally, I don't know the law on it, but I would say legally they should have to disclose it. They should have to disclose anything on that property before they sell it.
Yeah.
But I'm not quoting a law on it because I have not pulled it up yet. But I feel it should be illegal to sell a property without disclosing everything about it.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna say yes to both.
I would too. I would think that, I guess especially if you had bought it and somebody didn't disclose it to you, but then you were in a predicament possibly. No, I wouldn't. But then again, I would want it cleared. I would want the property checked out.
Yes.
And if I had it checked out and they didn't find nothing, I think I would still probably say, hey, there was a possibility that something had happened here. We had it checked out. Nothing was ever found, but if you Google this address, you'll probably find a newspaper article or something on social media, and I gave you example, how here at this house, there, over where the cow lot, the horse lot is, on the other side of my property, when this was the school, that there's supposedly 2 people over there buried. That Chris had found some document from the 1850s that said in the field on the east side of the girls' college, there is 2 graves.
Alex said he wants
doing
some lipstick
right,
on.
talking.
Alex wants some lipstick on.
No.
Barb, you have a good night. I'm looking on realtor.com right now, and this says that if there was an event such as a murder or something equivalent on a property, then in most states, sellers are required to disclose that event.
Now, does that include if the murder didn't happen on the property, or if there is no evidence of it?
If there's no evidence of it, then they shouldn't have to disclose it. Again, that's a great, that one, I will probably end up reaching out to an attorney on that, a realtor attorney, and see what they say with that. I'm pretty sure most states are going to be different, but that would be worth looking at and talking to them and finding out.
Right.
And that's another reason why property owners who are approached by somebody wanting permission to access to do a search, that is another reason why they should contact their attorneys, is for that reason. You know, if they knew nothing about it, that means people didn't tell them that there's a chance of this. So they need to know what their legal options are.
Exactly, because if you run into something like that, that's especially when it wasn't closed by the owner. That is not right by him.
That's interesting. The home Natasha bought had been listed as being involved in manufacturing the substance.
There's a possibility that could be because of the chemicals.
Show 9. Sure. No, I'm on the show.
I started something. Alex is going to kill me. He's going to drive to Oklahoma and strangle me.
I think Alex needs some too.
She's not giving up.
Oh, I'm going to pay for this dearly. He's going to be calling me at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you wait. You wait. Yeah, you're going to mess makeup.
I can't even see the comments now. I bet they're getting excited.
Yeah, they're probably making fun of me right now. I'll probably get a text message from Catfish. So you wear makeup? What color is that? Rose? Dark red?
Dark red.
So guys, I think I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, we do have a poll going over on the community page of the YouTube channel, and it's about tonight's topic and your thoughts on what may cause somebody to deny access to a property. So if you get a minute, please go over and participate in that. Our next live feed, we will jump back into this to bring you the poll results and kind of discuss the results with you guys before going into the topic of that live feed. But if you get a minute, don't forget to jump over there. And
now, is it on Facebook or YouTube?
Right now it's on YouTube, but we're probably going to do this on the Facebook page as well. And we'll run it probably until Saturday.
Well, we can give the results next Sunday.
Right.
So everybody that watches this, please let us know what you think about some of these questions, situations, and what you think might be right or wrong, or what would, anything that we always try to get some input and some feedback for sure. So,
And Natasha asked if we could leave it up a bit after the live is done. It's actually over in the community page. If you look up, like if you go into the search and look up Muddy Water Search and Recovery, click on our channel, there will be a tab on there that says community. If you click on that, then this will pop up. And there's other stuff on there too, but that should be the first comment or first post on there when you pull that up. And Mac, thank you for going over and doing that. Mac said he already went over and voted on it. So guys, we talked about the landowner side of this. We've talked a lot about the team member side of this. The family members of the missing loved ones, we didn't get very far into that, but I'm thinking maybe we need to, if we have a family member that would be willing to come on and speak with us all on that and get their perspective on that and hold that off for the next go around.
yeah, let's do a part 2 to this.
So we can do that, try to bring on the family member, and then also do the poll results and get into that discussion as well on our next live feed.
Yeah, because it would definitely be better to hear it straight from somebody that is dealing with that themselves.
Right.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. On a different note, Dennis, there is a subject that you and I had talked about last week about the shows starting in 2024. Is that something you want to discuss tonight, or was it something you want to wait till a little later?
Yes, we can go ahead and discuss that tonight, and then we will discuss it again next week on that live feed. Just so if anybody has any questions come to mind or anything during this week, they can bring that up then as well. But as you know, we are a search and recovery team. We look for missing people, but we do have a large handful of cases that are unsolved death cases. And normally we wouldn't take those on, but with these particular cases, most of them were ruled suicide, and the evidence right off the bat painted a complete different story. So we wanted to do what we could to help those families. Being it's not a missing persons case, the most we can really do is help them keep their cases public. So what we're going to do starting January 2024 is January and June. Those months we're going to reserve to cover those cases. If we have a new one come in, we will still do a case layout and get that out to you guys. If there's any information that comes in on one of these that's pressing, we will get that out to you guys immediately. But we're going to reserve space in January and June to where we focus on bringing all of those out to you. Family members may be joining us on live feeds with those to discuss those cases. There is a chance at some point we may be doing a couple documentary style videos. Some families have asked us if we would do something like that. And, that's not the type of video that we have done, but we are looking at the possibility of doing that. But if we go that route too, those will be released immediately. But the main focus of them and keeping them public will be January and June. And then the rest of the year will be focused on the missing loved ones and trying to bring them home. The case layout videos, you probably already noticed somewhat of a change with that. In the past, anytime we got a new case in, within a day or two, we had a case layout video up. This was leading to sometimes 3, 4, 5 different videos coming out on the same day, multiple times a week. So what we're going to do is once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on how many cases come in, we will do a video that will do the layout on every new case that we have. And then as we dig into those cases and get new information on those, we will do the solo videos for that particular case and go into in-depth detail with that. So it's going to help us when it comes to getting it all together to get out to you. And then it's not going to overwhelm you guys with notifications that, you got 10 videos today to watch. And then let's see. Natasha asked like a podcast or an actual documentary. An actual documentary is what's being looked at. I'm not guaranteeing we're going to be able to pull this off, but definitely something that's being looked at. And I'm really hopeful that we will be able to put something together on that. And Natasha says, and in the in-between time, me and Dan are going to be busy on TikTok, right? And the other platforms, sharing the heck out of them, right?
Yeah, my TikToks, they get notifications 3-4 times a day.
It's not easy.
And like
Nani's what?
Saturday, I switched the link from Facebook to YouTube, so it's easier for them just to go to YouTube.
Trouble.
And Natasha's volunteering to be a journalist to do the questions. So, guys, we've been at it for over 2 hours tonight.
A good idea.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to move this logo here. You can't see her face.
She's getting in Tammy's makeup. Every time she's up here, she gets in her makeup.
Okay, you got to take a brush and swirl it in.
No, don't do that. Don't get it in on.
See this.
It's gonna get in your hair. No, don't put it on me.
He's putting on Tammy's makeup.
I hope that's not fingernail polish and it comes off.
What is, to be honest?
It'd be a disaster.
You could have her do your makeup for you for school.
It did pretty good with the lipstick, I'm telling you.
No, boy, we're gonna be in so much trouble.
Alex is going to blame it on me and Tammy's going to come hunt me down.
It's Mike. Oh, Lord.
What I'm gonna do? Oh,
Getting it all in your hair. Oh, we're gonna be in so much trouble.
So, guys, we passed the 2-hour mark tonight, so we will pick up part 2 next Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And hope all you guys are here. As Max says, it's all Dan's fault.
That's right.
That's right, Dan. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Anytime.
Natasha says it's always Dan's fault.
Calm down.
So, guys, with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Alex can turn his camera off and he can go ahead and put the makeup on and call it good.
Now you know something funny? There's TikTok artists that actually do that just for laughs. They'll do battles. If they lose, they got to wear makeup.
Oh, no.
You ain't catching me putting makeup on.
I gotta say, I wouldn't want to go through all the trouble of getting it back off to put it on.
Oh, no. No, she's quite the little makeup entrepreneur here. So, uh-oh, here comes Nani. You better run.
And Max says,
Wait,
Alex,
wait.
let us know
Tell
if
me,
Tammy
Tammy.
kills you.
I'm not here.
So, guys, with that, we will see all of you next week, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. You guys stay safe, and we will catch you down the road.
Bye.
Everybody,
Bye bye.
bye.